proposal and to use the tax credit calculator, you can visit safedrywarm.lincolnparkpublicschools.com. Again, that is safedrywarm.lincolnparkpublicschools.com. Lastly, there will also be some informational mailings sent to your homes. The first of those will arrive this week. In fact, I think the first one actually hit the mailboxes today. I encourage every voter to learn as much as they can about this bond proposal and what it means for you, your students, our staff, and the future of our school district. This bond will not give our schools those items that some argue are fancy, but it will provide our school buildings additional funding to help support our goal of keeping them safe, dry, and warm. If at any time you have questions, I encourage and welcome you to call me so that I can help you in any way that I can. Simply stated, for everyone that's out there, we're just trying to do what's right for our school district going forward. We're just trying to make sure that our schools are safe, dry, and warm. You have three choices. You can vote no, you can choose not to vote, or you can vote yes. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
You're going to have town halls across the city at different times to talk about this, correct?
That is correct. We have 5 right now that are being ready to be announced probably by the end of this week.
Okay, but in hearing it on the state of the city, I thought that it was appropriate to have you come in here and just give the highlights so that everyone is aware of what is going on, and if they have questions, they can see you at when's the board meeting?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Yep.
So the questions answered at that particular point, or is there an email in particular, say, that we could forward if people send things to me wanting to have more information about that?
Yep, we can call me at 313-389-0200, extension 20309, or my email for the school is terry.dangerfield@lpps.info. And I appreciate that, Mayor. One of the things that we have struggled with is we try to put as much information on the website as possible, but as obviously people have questions, and as those questions come up, we are glad to answer them and be as transparent as we possibly can.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. We have, and I think that is all that I have under mayor's comments. We will move to the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approved minutes, regular meeting held Tuesday, March 18, 2019. 2, accept minutes, study session held March 18, 2019, RE Farmers Market and Parade. 3, participation residential rehab. 4, reappointment CIC Annette DiMaggio. And 5, reappointment DDA, which would be James Fox, Todd Galley, Victoria McLean, Elias Morales, Meritus. I know him for a long time, so I should be able to pronounce his last name, and Robert Steele.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. First action item. Has a cover letter from our fire chief, Mr. Martin. On November 5 of 2018, the mayor and council passed a resolution to purchase a 2019 Sutphen Custom Fire Engine for $503,413.30. After attending the pre-construction meeting at the Sutphen facility, some necessary changes were made to the compartment configuration. An additional piece of equipment was added, which results in a lesser cost than purchasing the equipment at a later date. The changes will add an additional $9,942 to the original price. So whereas the mayor and council passed resolution number 18-333 on November 5, 2018 to purchase a 2019 Sutphen Custom Fire Engine for the cost of $503,413.30. Whereas changes were made to the compartment configuration during the pre-construction meeting, and an additional piece of equipment was purchased, increasing the original purchase amount by $9,942.32. Now therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council amend resolution number 18-333 to reflect the additional amount, bringing the new total to $513,355.62.
So moved. Oh, support.
Discussion?
Question. What is the new piece of equipment that is that evidently it's an option, but, I mean, for $500,000, doesn't it come with a lot of equipment, or is that something?
So it's a task force tip, 1,250 gallon per minute Hurricane deck gun. You've seen it on top of all of our trucks. I was under the impression that that was included. It was not. You had to buy it separately. We can still buy it separately, but we'll save a little bit of money if we do it during the during the construction phase.
Okay, so that was for the hose on it, for lack of a better word, the hurricane.
Right, the deck gun. I'm sure you've seen them before, where you can shoot water in actually from the top of the truck.
What is that called again?
It's you want me to go through that again? I'll slide you a note.
Squirt gun.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Your
Is
Honor.
there any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Thank you, Chief.
Excuse me. Bless you.
Next item has a cover letter from Lisa Griggs, our Director of Finance and Operations. Public Act 43 of 1963 requires that the city must hold a public hearing prior to the adoption of the annual budget. Purpose of this hearing is for the public to comment on the upcoming budget. A copy of the proposed budget is available at the clerk's office and the Lincoln Park Public Library for review prior to the meeting. So resolved that the Director of Finance and Operations is hereby requesting to schedule a special meeting on Monday, May 20, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the John A. Aloisi Council Chambers at City Hall, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, for the purpose of holding a public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
So moved. Support.
Okay, the discussion, will the budget also be available online for people to see? So, okay. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Also related to the budget, whereas the mayor and city council wish to schedule meetings to discuss the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Now therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council schedule the following study sessions to review the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget on Monday, April 29, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. and if needed, Monday, May 13, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the John A. Aloisi Council Chamber, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins.
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item that we have is from Doreen Christian, Director of the Community Planning and Development, Parks and Recreation. The purpose is to replace damaged, dangerous equipment at Quant Park and purchase new equipment that is on sale. The playground equipment at Quant Park was vandalized with graffiti, and when I went to see the damage that the DPS had already removed, I noticed that the kiddie slide was cracked and the spiral slide had a hole in it like it was burned. Called to get the replacement pricing on these two slides. It would cost over $7,500 for the parts alone, as this equipment is obsolete. We located a newer, brand-new unit, ordinarily priced for $21,500 for $12,777. And there is a current GSA for Playworld. To do a community build, we would be paying an additional $3,800 build for supervisors and buildings rep. And for an additional $1,075, they will install the equipment completely. And DPS would remove the old equipment and footings to level the area. So whereas the playscape slides at Quant Park were vandalized and replacement costs on the Osterlight unit were prohibitive. Whereas Mid-States Recreation has a current GSA, therefore be it resolved that the bid process be waived and Doreen Christian, Director of Parks and Recreation, be authorized to purchase Playscape Model Challenger 350-1737 for a total sale price of $19,302, which includes the equipment, freight, and installation charges.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question on the, I know it was vandalized. Is there any way to kind of keep an eye on the new equipment? Maybe we can have the cops roll by there once in a while to see it doesn't have the same problem after we install it, because summer's coming up, so you're gonna have a lot of kids out in the playgrounds.
This is in the middle of the park.
Oh, okay.
Through their patrols, I would imagine that they would be able to do that. Deputy Chief, is that? Yes, that's possible. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Through the chair?
Yes.
Is any of that covered by insurance?
I would say no, but Ms. Cobbler?
So our deductible on that would have been $5,000. That's what started the whole conversation in terms of actually doing a replacement, is that we'd be putting $5,000 towards it. The equipment itself is not in good shape to begin with, and it didn't make a lot of sense to just replace it. And we do have some money available for this type of thing in our CDBG budget. So we just kind of said, let's make a good improvement there.
Good, thank you.
And if I may, I'm pleased that it's going to, the cost to have it put up there, installed, it makes more sense than to have our guys do it. And I appreciate the fact that Doreen was able to get a lower price on this. That's all I have.
In looking over that, as we were talking about the court process and things, that play structure was in dire need of being replaced, so that's a positive thing. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. We also have Doreen on the next one, the Director of Community Planning and Development, Parks and Recreation. And it is reference to CDB, Community Development Block Grant Budget. So in the background, a public hearing was held on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019, to hear requests on the 45th CDBG budget and receive public comment. The Community Improvement Commission held a meeting on February 28, 2019, reviewed the requests and made their recommendations. These recommendations were forwarded to Mayor and Council for their consideration. If you'd like changes to the proposed budget, it can be done on the floor. We have not received notification from HUD on our allocation for fiscal year 2019-20. To meet the HUD deadline for citizens' comment period and submission to HUD, a budget needs to be passed now. If there is a decrease or increase of expected funding, the streets utility and the administration portion of the budget will change to reflect that amount. So resolved that the following proposed budget is hereby adopted for the 45th program year of the Community Development Block Grant Program beginning January 1, 2019. Administration and Planning, $158,286. Under Public Services, Community Policing, $35,000. Crime Awareness Program, $15,000. Crime Awareness Radios, $28,000. First Step Domestic Violence, $10,000. The Guidance Center, $5,000. The Senior Alliance, $3,201. Senior Center Staffing, $22,000. Under Infrastructure Projects, Demolition of Dangerous Buildings, $30,000. And then under Residential Rehab, there's an asterisk by the zero, and it's plus projected rehab revolving fund income of $40,000. Sewer lead rehab and replacement, $60,374. Streets and utilities, $394,070. Other, code enforcement for PD, $30,000, for a total of $791,431. Be it further resolved that any changes in the projected HUD allocation would be reflected in the streets and utilities administration portion of the budget if decreased or increased.
So move.
Support.
Discussion?
Question. I didn't get a chance to get my input, but we talked about, Doreen says you could do it here. I'd like to take the money from the community policing, which has over 91,000 still in the budget they haven't used from 17 and 18, and put that towards the crime awareness radios, and that should pretty well buy all the radios that we need, and we're all done. It's finished. That's my recommendation and my input anyways.
Well, with the community policing, even though there was reasons why that, Doreen, could you please come forward?
The CIC's recommendation for the community policing crime awareness radios was one half now, one half later. My recommendation was none, because we've already paid for quite a few of them, and we wanted to make sure, we do have older money, and Matt and I had discussed it. We could do some changing around in money that's not being spent and put it towards those radios and get it out there without ever putting that money in the public services as it is now in the 45th year. You're not going to get those radios right away because we didn't get our money this year until October. And that's why I'm in a little bit of a hurt trying to get all the spending done. So we want to spend the old money first and get it out so we're not in that problem next year. But that was the reasoning behind when the CIC did their recommendations on why they did it. And Matt and I had discussed it, and we had agreed with that concept of using older money to get rid of it.
My only question to the chair is that we got over 91,000 in the community policing. If we put another 35, that's over $100,000. I mean, that's a lot for, we're not even, and if we buy the radios, I know last year in October when they did the, what do you call it, the Halloween night, they were down to almost the last radio for the people that turned out so they could use them in their cars when they were going out to patrol the citizens and that. I just thought it would be a good idea just to finish off the thing. It's done, and you're right, it will take some time to get them, but if we get them, we're all done with them. They got them all, they can get them all in there. No matter how many people turn out, because they use it for the Memorial Day parade, the people doing so on and so forth. So that's just where I'm going with it. I can't see putting 35,000 on top of 91,000. I mean, how much money are we gonna have in there?
Of that 91,000 that you're saying that's there, I do want to let you know that I haven't pulled the second quarter or the third quarter funding yet for this year. Also, I think there was, because he was being utilized so much at the police department, that's why not all the funding was going towards community policing. And I think that's going to be changing, and he's going to be having more time freed up for community policing. It's definitely your guys' decision on how you want to do this, but that's the reasoning it's a little bit higher, is because I haven't pulled the other 2 quarters. I just got the second quarter because Christina was behind on getting all the information together, because she does crime awareness, she goes neighborhood watch, she does community policing, she does all those reports.
Okay.
That's still my thought process. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes?
Kelsey,
No.
Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
No.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, the next item. Again, from Doreen. And the purpose is authorized Century 21 All-Stars to market and sell city-owned property renovated using CDBG housing stock improvement funds, and authorized Matthew Copler, city manager, to represent the city of Lincoln Park in closing and sign all necessary documents. So as background, as the city acquired homes via the county or donation that could be renovated, CDBG funds are used to renovate some of these homes. These homes must then be sold to a low or low mod income family. So resolved that the Century 21 All-Stars, 4159 Fort Street, Lincoln Park, Michigan, is designated as a real estate agent to market and sell city-owned property renovated using CDBG housing stock improvement funds, with the resulting real estate fee to be paid at closing from the proceeds of the sale. Resolved that the balance of proceeds from the sale of this property be placed in the CDBG Housing Stock Improvement Program revolving loan fund. Be it further resolved that that Matthew Copler, city manager, is authorized to represent the city of Lincoln Park at closing and sign all necessary documents.
So move.
Support.
Have discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is from Mr. Copler. And cover letter, I'll give the information from. The Wayne County Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management requires cities to regularly update the Support Emergency Operations Plan. Lincoln Park has not provided an update in a number of years, so it's necessary to refresh our plan and submit the plan to Wayne County. The COP describes how the city of Lincoln Park will handle emergency situations within the city in cooperation with Wayne County and their emergency management program. The Support EOP assigns responsibilities to agencies for coordinating emergency response activities before, during, and after any type of emergency or disaster. The Support EOP does not contain specific instructions as to how each department will respond to an emergency. These can be found in the plan annexes or separate standard operation procedures, or SOP. In addition to this, providing coordination between the city and Wayne County Emergency Management, having this document on file with Wayne County ensures that we will be able to receive federal aid during the declaration of emergency by the president and to seek grants through Federal Emergency Management Agency. The resolution is, whereas Wayne County Department of Homeland Security
It's the new one he gave you.
Emergency Management
It's the same, just the okay.
Sorry.
A little confused, and we'll
I
start
was.
again here. Whereas Wayne County Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management requires cities within the county to adopt a support emergency operation plan that will enhance the local emergency response capability. And whereas the Lincoln Park Support Emergency Operations Plan, hereto attached as Exhibit A, will assist officials of the city of Lincoln Park to accomplish their primary responsibilities and allow the city to request resources during emergency situations from Wayne County and the state of Michigan. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of Lincoln Park, mayor and council adopt the City of Lincoln Park Support Emergency Operations Plan, hereto attached as Exhibit A.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Okay, then clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. Just checking.
And that's there. This next item has a cover letter from our city clerk, Carrie Kerr, and has to do with approving special event permit for the VFW Post 552 Memorial Day Parade. Purpose of this request to allow VFW Post 552 to hold a Memorial Day Parade in the community on May 19, 2019. Applicant has filed an application, submitted all the required documents. Normally, if there are any outstanding fees from the department, the application is approved and the outstanding debts are paid. VFW currently has a past due water bill and fire inspection fee. The newly appointed commander has requested additional time to pay these bills. Because they are working to resolve their debts and denying this special event would be detrimental to the community, it's recommended the mayor and city council adopt the proposed resolution as requested.
So moved.
Hold on.
Sorry.
So resolved that the special event permit number 4 be approved for the VFW Memorial Day Parade event to be held in the city of Lincoln Park on May 19, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. along the northbound lanes of Fort Street from Southfield to Merrill, under the following conditions. 1, special event to cease at 11 p.m. per municipal code 666.04. And 2, applicant shall be responsible for cleanup of all debris associated with the event from surrounding properties.
So
So
moved.
move.
Our support.
Okay, discussion?
I have a question. Through the chair.
Yeah.
So this year, they are going to go ahead and pay the reimbursement costs for the departments because we have not approved waiving that or changing the ordinance, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We sent the cost recovery to the VFW.
I see that on here, yeah.
Okay. Do we have further discussion? We vote yet.
Not yet. Would you like to?
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right then. Next item is resolved that the council claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, April 2019 retiree Medicare, $55,427.88. April 2019 SB Actives, $120,993.34, for a total of $176,421.22. Blue Cross Blue Shield, April 2019 retiree non-Medicare, $31,697.18. These first two items listed had their check released for the due date. District Court, April 2019, $49,059.34. Reimbursement of MIDC expenses, $15,863.65, for a total for the 25th District Court of $64,922.99. GV Cement, 2018 concrete sectioning, $113,672.15. 2018 utility sectioning, $171,106.34, for total for GV Cement at $284,778.49. HP Snap renovation of 883 Monte, $57,050. Liquiforce sanitary sewer CIPP lining, $65,091.53. McKenna Associates, February 2019 building services permits, $45,238.50. And PNC Institutional, fiscal year 2019 police and fire final pension payment, $3,025,081.50.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Now reached the time for our city manager's report. Mr. Coppler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Just had a few items to bring to Mayor and Council's attention. First thing, you may notice that we didn't have the bond authorization resolution on this meeting. That now has been rescheduled for April 15th. There was some background information that had to be prepared to allow that to get done, so they're taking a little bit longer time to present that to us. Second thing, just so we have been approached by Verizon here just in the last week, and probably a little known act was committed by the state legislature at the end of their session, which is called I use that word specifically. Public Act 365 of 2018. And this involves the ability for wireless carriers, to install small cell wireless towers inside cities. This is allegedly for the 5G upgrades that is going to be happening in the cell phone industry across the United States. But there's a lot of different components to this particular act, and we are working right now to kind of wander through, because that officially became law on March 12th. And so Verizon was in our office within 5 days after that, so you know that they're looking to do this. Now, what this means is they're probably going to be installing as quickly as they can a number of these small wireless cells, which will fit on top of utility poles within the neighborhoods. What they told us is each one of those can cover about 1,200 feet. So if you start doing the math, what they showed us is probably an installation of somewhere between 20 to 30 of these tower sites within the southern part of Lincoln Park. And that's where they want to focus their attention. Now, we're looking at the ordinance that we're going to ultimately have to adopt. We're getting some conflicting information. Some legal experts are telling us that we don't need to do anything because it's codified in state statute. But there's a lot of maze in that state statute, which tells me that we need to have a very definitive ordinance in place that allows us to permit these type of towers within the city. To be honest, there's not a lot of say that we're going to have. This is controlled primarily by the state statute, but there are some review abilities that we do have to make sure that they follow what the state statute says and make sure they don't conflict with any of our utilities or create unsafe conditions within the neighborhoods. Needs to say that our future is going to be covered with a lot of these towers. If they're going to be, like I said, just in the southern part, looking at somewhere between 20 to 30 installations, that'll probably triple or quadruple by the time they build it out within the city. On the positive side, they see a lot of value in doing this first in Lincoln Park. So our residents, at least in the southern part of the city, will be getting 5G whenever devices allow for 5G to be actually used. But
If I may, they don't have to get a right-of-way permit?
so that's the process. Very similar to the Metro Act, but doesn't follow the Metro Act. It's its own special code. Because they're installing them on DTE poles for the most part. It's within the right-of-way. The state has said, go have it. But there are some things. We can charge an application fee of $200 per site, which is a positive for us to review it. But it also allows, and again, this is one of those we may be able to charge, if we adopt an ordinance, up to $20 per year per site as well. So there is some revenue potential off of this. And the greater thing is with what was done with the Metro Act and the state's taking over the city's rights and responsibilities as it relates to our right-of-ways. These right-of-ways are a very, very valuable asset to the community. And the city has spent a lot of money over time either maintaining these right-of-ways or acquiring these right-of-ways. And, as the state did away with a number of different of our home rule abilities to maintain those and have jurisdiction over them, they have given us, through the Metro Act, a little bit of money back, and again, through PA 365 of 2018, a little bit of money again. So, by no stretch of the imagination is the city going to get rich off this, but it does allow us to recover a little bit of the value of the asset that the state had taken from us as it relates to the right-of-ways, and allows us to oversee to make sure that there are no conflicts with existing city utilities or even utilities of DTE. One of the things we found through the Metro Act is, unfortunately, the companies that are installing a lot of this fiber optic cabling in the city's right-of-ways don't really watch out for our utilities, and, we've had one just in the last year and a half, I think it was. We had a company that had taken their fiber optic right through one of our storm sewers, which caused some backup issues, but, so it happens.
No, none of this work would be done until we approve it.
Correct, yeah. I mean, that's the thing there. I know they are very excited about going forward fast, so we're working right now. Unfortunately, our right-of-way attorney that we normally use is retiring.
Oh, he is.
Yes. So he has put us in contact with someone else, and so I'm playing phone tag with them. We do have a model ordinance from the municipal league, but again, it's quite lengthy, and we have to figure out which one part of that we really need to do. So, long story short, although it hasn't been short, is that you'll be seeing some a resolution to adopt an ordinance probably within the next 2 meetings. But on the positive side, there's going to be some enhanced wireless services in the city sometime probably in the next year. Yay. So I think Terry is still here, Mr. Dangerfield. We did receive kind of a heads up, and I'll pass this out real quick to council. The school district is looking to install behind Mixter School for lack of a better word, I guess, a greenhouse that, not going there.
What are they gonna grow?
It will all be legal,
Well, everything's legal.
but,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so,
I'm sorry.
this type, the school does have the ability, to install and do construction and things, within the city, so there really isn't any right for us to say yes or no. But, in talking with Mr. Dangerfield about this, he explained what is going on and what we should see, and he is here if you have any questions directly about what is going to be grown there. He can answer those, but I'm just presenting this so you're aware. Should you get a phone call from a resident behind or around Mixter School wondering what's going on, they are going to be installing these, just one or two, I can't remember, is two? Just one. One, what again I call a greenhouse for their program. Again, we don't have any say in the matter. It's just, again, at this point, just brought to your attention. So if a resident should ask you, you have some idea of what's going on there.
That program is open, I think it's 9:30 to 2:30. I don't know if it's open this week or not.
It is not the spring break.
Okay, but the next week, you can stop by and see it. They're going to have an open house on the 26th, I believe. So be a good opportunity for everybody to check that out.
Yes, it's a great program over there at Mixter School. The last thing, and I know our fire chief is sitting here, and nobody has yet to bring that up, but I am going to beat you to the punch. Last week, we did have, through the state, a opportunity to test our outdoor warning sirens and test. Again, the reason we test is to make sure things work. Unfortunately, it did not work. But we are in the process, and I don't know if you want to quickly provide an update to Mayor and Council what's going on with that siren system.
So I called back to Winder's Police Equipment again today, and he assures me he's going to be out Thursday to address the siren at Hoover School, and he will be back out next week for the one on City Hall, and we'll be providing the ladder for him to get up on top. So.
Is our alarm system antiquated, out of date?
Well, they just updated the radio portion of it that's in the fire station, but as far as outside, I don't really know. I know the solar panels on it are very current. They're not. I don't believe those are antiquated at all.
So,
But with our plan getting approved, right?
yeah, so the interesting thing is the technology behind the warning siren is somewhat older, but it's actually a better technology the way that we do it compared to some of the other communities' warnings. So if it worked, it would actually be better than what other communities. However, Mayor and Council has put money aside to update what's on top of this building. They still have the Crystal radio running what's up above us. And I don't know exactly, when did we do away with Crystal radios? Probably a few years ago, if I'm
Yeah,
not
I believe
mistaken.
so. 5 years at least.
And so what Mayor and Council had appropriated was, one, to address that. Second part was to address what Chief Martin brought up in terms of updating that radio. So once that project is complete, we'll be up to probably 2000, 2005 standards with our system. But, so I think to go down the road where you're going, one of the things that we need to do is, we only have 2 sirens in the city. When they looked at this a number of years ago, I think they were looking to build out another 3 or 4 sites. And so I think that's the next phase with all this, is to look at putting more sirens within the city. And the reason the SEOP was so important is that that's one of the things that is going to be looked at when we do our FEMA grant application very shortly, to build out our system a little bit more. I think besides adding more towers, the other part of that is to update the system itself, so we can possibly have even more remote access to setting it off.
Right.
So right now, what we have the ability is, mostly in the fire department, we're looking at extending a backup site within the police department, but ultimately we want to be able to set that off from anywhere within the city, or even possibly outside the city. Just because of the way that we are staffed, it would just be so much easier if we had a number of people that could set that off. So that's going to be a part of that grant application once we get there. And he's thinking right now it's a battery issue with Hoover School, correct?
That's what Dick Winder believes for Hoover, that the batteries probably went dead. He said they're usually good for about 5 years, but there may be one that's just dipping below. It's got to be a certain amount of volts, and he thinks that it might just be hovering just underneath, and it's a built-in mechanism to protect itself so it doesn't try to discharge with not enough volts.
We'll be scheduling a test then afterwards.
Thursday, I would expect to hopefully hear some noise on Thursday when he's out there.
And actually, we're supposed to regularly on the first Saturday.
First
each
Saturday of the
month.
month at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
every
so
month.
Hear it twice
we
this
will be hearing it. We look forward to hearing it on Saturday also then.
Hopefully.
Okay.
And that's all I had. If there are any questions that Mayor and Council have, I'll try to answer them.
Through the
Thank you,
chair.
Chief. Yes, sir.
Chief, if you say the batteries are going dead, is there anybody that inspects those periodically to see if that it is happening?
I don't believe so, no. I mean, we expected them to last a little bit longer than they did, because they were just out not all that long ago. So I don't know if this was we got a bad battery, but I'm going to wait until he goes out there before I report back to
That
you.
siren has failed and failed and failed and failed and failed.
Right.
Fix it or replace it, and I think it should be inspected periodically to make sure the batteries aren't dead.
I'll definitely check with him when he's out.
Thank you, sir.
We were talking earlier to go along with what the councilman was saying, and then maybe when we change our batteries and our smoke detectors, and that might remind us to go
It might
and
not be a
check
bad
those
idea.
too.
Right.
If we could put it on the calendar for that,
Sure.
appreciate it. Anything else for the city manager? And we will move on for our department head report. And so we have Tony Foucault, who is coming in. It's been our honor to have you, sir, serve for the city, and it's several years. It goes back probably over 20, right?
2004, basically.
2004,
I was
close.
doing some consulting work before that, but I think 2004 is when I basically became the assessor.
Yeah, and you're finishing your last year with us here.
This
Before
is
that got
the end of this month.
Too far afield, I just wanted to express our thanks for the work and stuff that you've
Thank you,
done
Mr.
for us,
Mayor.
and good luck in your future endeavors.
Appreciate that. and
All right,
it's
Tony,
been
go
a
ahead.
pleasure serving the city. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. And basically, I'll start off with kind of an update. If you may or may not recall, that we've been working on this, what we call an AMAR audit from the state of Michigan has put us through this audit. It actually stands for an audit of minimum assessing requirements. And we've been working on that for quite a while, and it's quite a thing that the state has been wanting all the assessors in the state of Michigan to comply with. And so we were having to put all our field sheets, commercial, industrial, we had most of the residential already done, but the commercial and industrial field sheets all had to be inputted into the computer. And we had to just comply with getting things off override and flat values. And the state this year just implemented a new assessor's manual that we had to use this year for the first time. It's an updated manual that we've had right along, but it's built into our system that all the data that we have about our properties, we put in the computer, and they want the assessor's manual to calculate those now. So what we had kind of was like a perfect storm. We had to redo all our land values based on new studies. We had this new assessor's manual that we had to implement this year, so we had to redo all our costs from the assessor's manual, which required us to redo what we call economic condition factors. I don't want to get too technical here, but it was just things that all had to be done to comply with what the state wanted. So with that, we were redoing all the assessments basically. So we really expected some big increases and maybe some reductions in some areas. It kind of fluctuates depending on the area. So what we ended up doing was redoing that, and as a result of that, as we finished up doing that, we had to get all our notices out for the board of review. So we basically expected quite a large turnout for a board of review, and it turned out to be really a blessing that we didn't have that many people. We had basically just a total of 78 appeals, which is very low for a city of this size. Out of that 78 appeals, 44 of those were veterans exemptions, because those have to go through the board of review. We had basically 10 poverty requests for people who weren't able to pay their taxes. And we had 7 personal property corrections that we had to make. So basically, out of all of those appeals, we had basically around 13 protests of the value. And, you know, the assessments reflect 50% of value. And like I said, all of those were recalculated. And what we had to do was use our sales study and comply with the state and the county on what our level of assessment was, and we had to bring those up to 50% levels. You know, we saw that values were increasing. We're not saying that the assessments that people received or the increase they received was because their property went up that much in 1 year. That's not what it means. It just means that we're always a year or two behind the market, and when we do our 2-year study, we're playing catch-up to the market. And as the values were going up, it took some of these increases to get to that 50% level. The good news of that is that it's capped at the rate of inflation, so anybody who had been in their home, even though the assessment reflects 50% of value, the capped value or their taxable value in many cases stayed at the rate of inflation. And this year, the rate of inflation was 2.4%. So that kind of kept a lot of the taxable values. And that's the amount that you use against the millage rate to figure people's taxes. So that was kind of a safety net on some of those increases. Overall, the city received about a 4.6% increase in taxable value over last year. And with that, the Headley Amendment requires that a city cannot collect more taxes than they did the year before, except for the inflation rate, if they have to have their public hearing, which is usually part of their budget hearing. So with that, we may be looking at a very slight reduction, a rollback, what they call in the millage rate, because of our increase. So I calculated 0.9961, which is basically 0.9961% of the millage rate would be the rollback possibly. But we'll wait until we get more results from Wayne County, and, that's just a quick calculation. So I just wanted to see that that's not too bad considering what a lot of other communities have gone through. And so basically that, is kind of the update of where we're at right now. And, aside from our normal business, handling phone calls and walk-ins and complaints, we seem to be getting a lot of questions about legal descriptions now, and just a lot of different questions that sometimes don't pertain to assessing, but they're part of the assessing process, I guess. So that's basically it. And again, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And I just found that got to find some me time. I've just been doing this for 30 years with the county and 20 years on contractual. 50 years is long enough, I think.
Well, thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Appreciate
could I say something about Mr. Foco, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Before that's quick. Council probably doesn't file every piece of litigation we have that's in the tax tribunal. Several years ago, the county bailed on the communities and told them they would no longer defend the communities in the tax tribunal matters, and the cities have. Mr. Foco's been very competent and easy to work with and saved the city tens of thousands and perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees by being amenable to discussion, by getting appraisals, by doing what he thought was necessary to move the cases forward without tying them up in court, like a lot of city attorneys or other counsel doing tax work are wont to do. So you're going to miss a valued asset there in that he took the charge himself and did much of what a lawyer's yeoman's share of the work would be, and settled and saved the city a ton of money in litigation at the tax tribunal.
If I may?
Sure, go ahead.
Tony, I want to thank you for all the years that we worked together. And the only thing that was bad about Tony is if you ask him a question, he talked and talked and talked and talked.
See, I was short tonight.
Yeah. I just
far?
want to make sure, I want to verify, since you'll be leaving us, and we're not quite sure who's going to be filling your big shoes, all of that information that you've inputted, the city's going to be able to access that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It'll all
That's
be
all
on the
cities,
BSNA.
it's all the city's information.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, I'm not taking anything with me.
no suitcases, okay. Thank you much.
You can have it all.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Well, thank you, Tony. I want you to stay through citizen comments, though, in case you have in case somebody has a question for you. And then, speaking of citizens' comments, I think we've reached that time. We have.
Every time. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Richard Kudrak. Before all the haters decide they're going to call me, I support public education. I do not support what I perceive as secrecy and misinformation in this ballot proposal for the school. Reading, the estimated millage should be levied in 2019 to service this issue is 2.44 mills. That's 2.44 per $1,000 of taxable value. And the millage rate required to retire the bonds of this issue is 6.58 mills. Golly gee, it looks like it's 2 mills in 2019 and 6.5 in the other 29 years of the bond issue, because it certainly doesn't say anything different. It also says the school district currently has $12,940,000 of qualified bonds. Oh, that's that sinking fund. If you want to know what you're paying for the sinking fund right now, grab this little piece of paper. I'm paying $70.40 for the sinking fund, which has nothing to do with this bond issue. Anyway, I printed out the safe, wet, and dry thing. It says, the safe, dry, warm bond proposal is estimated to cost the median homeowner $77.49 per year for a home valued at $82,000. Misinformation. You do not pay taxes on a home's value. You pay taxes on the taxable value. If you want to know where your taxable value is, it's this piece of paper. Mr. Foucault just told you all about it. That's where you find your taxable value. So this business about what you pay for for a home value is bogus, wrong information. Then it says $77.49. Well, if you take 2.44 times, I did $30,000 taxable value. That's the only way you come up with anything close to $77.49. So they're using a home value of $82,000. The only way you get it anywhere near that is a taxable value of $30,000. I'm saying million and I mean thousand. And so that would mean a home value of about $60,000. So they're giving you a figure for an $82,000 house and a $30,000 house and telling you it's the same thing, and it's simply not. One of the things the superintendent was talking about was expenses for athletics. Listen, I played sports my whole high school career. I love sports. Fund the baseball field, the basketball courts, the track, all of that. But none of that is in here. Not one word in here says you're going to spend any of this money for athletics. That's what I mean by secrecy. Go ahead and say it if that's what you're going to do with the money. By the way, I didn't like getting the public information on this agenda so close to the election. I call it part of my secrecy plot. This is primarily done to minimize opposition so people don't have enough time to find out about it and to start talking about it like I'm doing right now to say, hey, why don't you give us more time? And you're going to have town hall meetings? Oh, that's fine, but that's if you can go to the town hall meeting, and that's a lot later. Anyway, I tried to send the school board an email today. Oh, golly gee, I had to sign in with Google or log in with Facebook. Couldn't just send them an email. Secrecy. Got to do everything in secret. You want a copy of the agenda for school board meeting? You can't get one online. You can't get one in advance. You have to go to a school board meeting to get an agenda. And by the way, school board meetings are not televised. They tell me they've got equipment problems. When you want $61 million of taxpayer money, you ought to be able to televise your meetings. One of the things I forgot, $61 million is not the total cost of this bond issue. That doesn't include the interest. The $20 million road bond issue is going to cost $7 million interest. You want a $61 million 30-year bond issue? How much is the interest going to be? Nobody tells you. Anyway, you go to a school board meeting, you only get 3 minutes to talk. In that 3 minutes, they want you to introduce yourself, tell them where you live and how many children you have in the district. That's got nothing to do with why you're there to talk, but it cuts into your 3 minutes. Ask a question at a school board meeting, not a chance. Nobody's going to answer a question at a school board meeting. Drove by the high school today and found out April 1 was a school break day. Well, I found 2 other places on the city's school website that says the recess is April 8th, 12th, and another place it's 15 and 19. And today it's closed on April 1st. Who knew? By the way, and just, oh, gee, thank you.
Chris Starzinski. Okay, I'm sure Councilman Higgins will talk about the parade. Yeah, we raised the money, pulled another rabbit out of our hats, and so we're looking good on the money for this year, and of course the fundraising for next year already started. It's a community event, and I'm just gonna stand firm on this. I firmly believe that a parade should be funded by the community. It's actually done that a very cost-effective way. My Freedom Fair Spring Fest, April 20th, vendor crafter show at the VFW Post, 552, that's 1125 Fort Street, corner of Monty and Fort. And my door proceeds, I will be giving back to the VFW to help keep their doors open. And half the door proceeds will also go, again, to a friend of mine who is unfortunately battling stage 4 kidney cancer, so I just want to try to help her out as much as I can. So come on out, and it's only $2 to get in, $4 if you're a family with 2 adults and 5 kids. Find something nice for Easter, find something nice for spring, find something patriotic, and and help support a new event in the city. The Downriver Comic and Collectors Show, June 1st and 2nd at the Lincoln Park High School. Mark it on your calendar. You should see it on Facebook. If you just type in Downriver Comic and Collectors Show, you'll go right to our page. And we've expanded this to a full collector's show. So sci-fi and comics will be about 40% of the floor plan, but we're expanding it to do all types of collectibles, slot machines, wrestling, lots of stuff. Be a small group of dedicated crafter vendors that we want to have on hand. So this has become one of the largest events in the city. So please attend, and all information at www.downrivercc.com. That's www.downrivercc.com, and the planning on that continues. Hands of the City volunteer meeting this Sunday at the VFW Post, April 7th, 5 p.m. No RSVP required. Just show up, please. If we get 7 more volunteers, we'll have 20 volunteers for Hands of the City, and we win a set of steak knives. No. Thank you. I didn't want to do a wraparound joke. I'm glad you laughed at the initial joke. So the Hands of the City volunteer meeting. A lot of people spend time on Facebook complaining about the city. Drives me crazy. Thankfully, I got a girlfriend who's got a personality. She likes to read all that stuff. It's fine to complain on Facebook. It actually is much better. And I'll just be the father and force here. It's actually much better to just jump in and start revitalizing your city. We've had a revitalization plan in place. People talk about they want a Costco, they want nice restaurants, they want this, they want that, they want their downtown to look like Wyandotte. Well, all that takes work. And the only thing you need is people to do the work. So there's a small group of people that actually work on revitalizing the city day in and day out. 4 of them happen to be in this room right now. So let's maybe cut back on the complaining on Facebook, say 50%, and the other half of that time, why don't you just get involved? I don't think everybody realizes that there's like 6 groups that oversee almost every event that goes on in the city, you know. Besides Maureen Tobin, the Exchange Club, Rotary Club, Hands of the City, Leslie and her husband Fred with the Farmers Market, and please forgive me, who else I forgot? CERT, thank you. So you have just a handful of people that oversee all the events. There's a lot going on in this city. Get involved. There'll be a lot more going on in this city. Every group in the city needs more volunteers, not just Hands of the City. So please get involved. If you don't like any of the volunteer groups, form your own volunteer group. Just make sure you send me your poster so I can help promote whatever event you want to do. I need to write clear with a Sharpie is what I need to do. Need people to start forwarding help with everything. Oh, okay. Whatever that says. DDA meeting, Thursday, April 4th. Thursday, April 11th. It's the second Thursday of the month, 5 p.m. Please start coming to the DDA meetings. Me and Larry get pretty lonely being the one of 2 of the only 3 people in the audience. I really mean that. The DDA is part of, they're the group that is revitalizing the downtown area. They have 4 standing committees that they need people to volunteer for. Get involved, folks. There's a lot going on in the city. Speaking of a lot, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Parent Webster. People know me as Rev or Tracy Dupre or Tracy Parent. Many know me on Facebook. Chris. I typically don't complain about Lincoln Park on Facebook as much as I draw attention to issues. And yes, I do, because Facebook is a good medium. I use it in my ministry, I use it in my rescue, I use it in my outreach, and I do use it to communicate with citizens and council members and many other people in Lincoln Park. My question is for the Verizon towers. The only thing I concern myself with, being at it's Verizon, is what is the hurry? Did they give a reason, and I think this is probably more for Mr. Koppler, did they give a reason why Lincoln Park, why the South End, and do we know for sure, or part of the, I guess, investigation would be, is it going to interfere with other carriers? Because they're in such a rush, it's almost like if we get them there first, we win. And so I'm wondering if you got that feeling.
I imagine what went on with them, and not speaking with them, is that this public act has been in works for several months. And would also be surprised if they were not the, big push behind that. So they
Right.
were set to go as soon as that happened. And so they just want to get all their ducks in a row so they can do that. I don't know that they've contacted Mr. Cox, but go ahead.
Yeah, so the small cell, what they call it, the small cell, has been an issue probably for the last 2 years. There's been a lot of third-party companies that have been trying to put up these small cells all across the state of Michigan. But there really was not anything, at least through state code, that really allowed for it. So a lot of communities were basically just, they were saying you couldn't do it. Now, we have never had anybody approach us before this. And so there was a very large push by the cell industry, cellular phone industry, to get some type of legislation adopted by the state, so it kind of overrode the city's ability to deny these type of installations. So that's what the push is. So that's been going on for about a year and a half. Now, Verizon in particular, what they told us is their installation actually is looking at 3 cities, which Lincoln Park is one of them. So the northern part of Southgate, the northwestern part of Wyandotte, and the southern part of Lincoln Park are the areas that they want to install these in, because what they told us is that they see a lot of usage by cell phone users within that is slowing down their traffic on the 4 LTE, 4G, LTE, that. And what they're presenting is saying, well, that is the same bandwidth that is being used by public safety. And, a lot of, for instance, like I believe our MDTs and our police cars all run through Verizon. And so there's probably some legitimate concern there that they're issuing. But I think, the rush to get a 5G system out there is beneficial to them, because they would then be able to say that they're the first.
Look at us, come
Right.
get Verizon. So it's more of a sales technique, you think, than
I think that's part of it, but
Okay.
it's something that's going to be coming. I mean, regardless, 5G is being seen as the base for autonomous vehicles and drones and all these things that the future holds for us. That is going to be the platform that's going to, those are going to run over. The concern that we have to have, I think, as a city is that, so we know that Verizon is looking to do, 30-ish in just the southern part. What about Sprint? What
Metro,
about,
T-Mobile,
all
all of
these
them.
different, and those third parties that we don't even know yet
Yeah.
that are going to step forward. And so that's why we need to have a good ordinance in place to be able to manage that.
Okay. All right, just concerned. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Horvath, the residents. Well, I don't know who pissed off Elsa Sunday, but I'm glad we're getting back to spring weather. But the important thing about that again is when it warms up and the kids are out playing, be extra cautious and extra safe in the residences. There's going to be, you have the kids in school and everything, but now's a good time to remind everybody, be extra careful and extra safe out there. There's going to be more kids playing, more kids running around, more things going on. So all I'm asking everybody is please, 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 never be distracted driving, never drink and drive. Be safe when you drive. Thank you.
My name is Adu